I can't buy the air I breathe. I can't buy the trees. I can't buy the deepest seas. But it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.
Hello and welcome to Around the World in 88 Tales. I'm David Heathfield and I'm doing this project with RAM, the museum here in Exeter, and I'm with a really good friend and a fantastic storyteller. In fact, this is one of my favourite storytellers. We've performed together, sharing storytelling in English and Turkish. Şüheda Şahin. Hi Şüheda. It's such a delight that you're with us today.
Thank you, David. It's an honor for me to take part in this project. I really love telling stories with you in a tender way. So I'm so excited.
I know you tell stories in Turkish and in English, and I hope today you're going to maybe you'll give us a few words of Turkish with your story as well. Are you going to share a story with us today? Will you share a story today?
Oh,
Fantastic. But
oh,
before we begin and before I show you the object from today, Şüheda, please can you
yes,
tell
of
us
course. I'm
about
gonna
yourself
share a
as a
story with you.
storyteller?
I don't know what will show you. Yes,
Okay. So please introduce yourself.
yes. I am okay. I am Şüheda Şahin. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And while
Is my
Suheda's
internet
introducing
stable?
herself, please
Yes.
can
Oh,
everybody
okay.
tell us where you're
Uh,
from?
yes, please. Write your countries on the comment, please. In
Yes,
Turkey, I'm a teacher and I am a storyteller, story lover, story listeners. And while I am trying to help my students to uh, learn this language, English language, I like telling stories. So while I am searching how to tell stories in a teaching method, I found so many things from David Heathfield, same project now.
thank you so much. Suheida, we're having a few internet glitches, so we could hear what you were saying, but it was breaking up a little bit. But I think you were saying that you use storytelling in your teaching English, which is absolutely fantastic. So
Yes.
Suheida, the artifact, the object from the museum that I've got today is very beautiful.
Mm.
It's a sieve,
Oh.
a sieve. And this sieve is actually made from plant fibre. It's actually, this sieve is not from the UK, it's from the World Cultures Collection at the museum. And it's a sieve from the Waimiri Atroari people. The Waimiri Atroari people from the north of Brazil, just
Mm.
north of the Amazon River. So they're from the Amazon forest. And it's a very simple sieve. It's made of a fibre, aruma fibre. And I'm going to put the sieve here on the wall. Okay, can we see that? Yes, we can.
Yes.
Perfect. While I tell the story, but you know, this sieve would be used for grain or flour for cooking. But of course, we get other kinds of sieve that might be used for putting through water, so for draining something. And in the story that I'm going to tell, it's not a wicker sieve like this. It's probably a sieve made of wood or metal for draining water through it. So, are you ready for my story?
Yes, I'm
Fantastic.
always ready to listen to you, David.
And after I tell my story, Şüheda, will you tell a story also inspired by this amazing artifact from the museum?
Yes, of course.
Perfect. Okay, then let's begin. Let me just have a look at who's with us in the room at the moment. So we've got lots of people. We've got Jackie Ross in Scotland, and Chimer Ergene in Cyprus, Manisha in India, Tammy here in Exeter, Mujgan saying Merhaba Şüheda. Maybe I think you're in Turkey. So we've got people joining us. Please tell us where you're from. And you can tell us what you think of the story, because the story I'm going to tell today actually comes from here, from the UK, where I am. Şüheda's in Turkey, in Istanbul. The Sieve is from the north of Brazil. But my story comes from this island. You might think that I'm English, and you're right, I am English, but I'm also Welsh. My mother and father born in Wales. And there's a hill on the border between England and Wales called Stapley Hill. Long, long ago, way before I can remember, but perhaps in the days that are not so different to ours, there was a drought, a time when there was no rain. It was so dry. The animals had nothing to drink. The cows became thirsty. They even began to die. The crops failed. The people at the bottom of the hill could not survive. They were desperate for rain. Now, among them lived a very cruel, heartless and greedy woman who claimed she was a witch with magic powers. She said, "If you give me your cheese and your bread, I will bring the rain." Well, the people were so desperate. They wanted to believe that she had this power, and they brought all of the cheese and bread that they had, the cheese and bread they needed for themselves and for their children. But that wicked witch, she took that bread and cheese for herself. She had so much, and what was left, she sold it back to the people who had given it to her. Now this went on for some time. Things were going from bad to worse. One early morning, a shepherd with his sheep was at the top of Stapley Hill, on the border between England and Wales. And there in the morning mist he saw a figure in green coming out from the mist, a beautiful fairy woman. And beside her was a huge white cow, much bigger than any cow he had ever seen before, and so white, almost shining there in the morning mist. And the fairy woman spoke. "I am sorry for the people who are hungry. I bring my cow to help. Every day, one person from every household can come to the top of the hill and milk my cow. They can bring one bucket. They can take no more than they can carry. This will sustain you." And she disappeared, that green woman, into the mist. Well, the shepherd was amazed. He hurried down the hill. He told everybody the news. Every family came with a bucket. They milked that huge white cow, and the milk was plenty. However much milk they took, there was more. But no one took more than one bucket. No one took more than they could carry. Now the people were no longer hungry. And because of that, they no longer needed to give their cheese and bread to that witch. She became angry. Why are they not bringing me any more? She knew the story of the cow on the hill. I know what to do. She took her own bucket and she broke the bottom of the bucket and removed it. And then she took a sieve, a round sieve full of holes, and she attached the sieve to the bottom of the bucket. And she carried that bucket, which was truly a sieve, up the mountain, up that hill. And in the darkness of night, so no one could see her, when she got to the top of the hill, there was the gleaming white cow. She put the bucket under the cow and began to milk those heavy udders. She milked and she milked and she milked, but her bucket was never full, and you know why. The milk ran through and seeped and soaked into the green mountainside. More and more and more she milked the cow. All through the night she milked the cow until all of the cow's milk. The cow was becoming thinner and thinner, its bones sticking through its skin. It was no longer shining white. The great cow was so weak, and still she milked. The cow was almost dead. In the morning, at dawn, at first light, the green fairy woman appeared through the mist. She stood before the witch. The witch stood in terror, and the fairy woman turned her to stone. The fairy woman took the thin, white, pale cow away and down the mountain. And in that community, she and the cow were never seen again, but there are stories in Wales of a woman, a fairy woman, who led a fat white cow under the waters of the lake where she had come from. Now you might think the people of that community were hungry and had nothing to eat, but they were not foolish, they were wise. And these people had kept some of the milk and made cheese, and that cheese sustained them, kept them alive until finally the rains returned and they could grow their crops and feed and water their animals again. If you go to the top of Stapley Hill on the border between England and Wales today, you can still find that standing stone, the witch, the cruel and greedy witch, who perhaps was not even really a witch, but just someone who wanted to make herself powerful at the expense of others. Never take more than what you need. So that story was collected and written down by Remy Dean, who's a folklorist and fascinated by traditions. And so such a beautiful story, and many similar stories in different parts of England and Wales. Şüheda, did you enjoy that story?
Yeah, I really enjoy that story because in the world, in many countries, and especially in Turkey, you know, because of global warming and because of the human beings, there has been so many huge fires in the forests, and we are still trying and fighting to come to an end to these fires. So this story is so touchable for me, and thank you for presenting this gift for us.
Thank you, sir. We're sorry. We've heard about the news in Turkey about the raging fires, and our thoughts are with you and the Turkish people.
Thank you so much, David. And
Yeah,
the Steve is
we need to live sustainably in this world and not take
yes,
more than what we need. Absolutely. So
yes, yes.
you've listened to this story, which features this sieve. Have you got a story to share with us?
Yes, it is a very good coincidence that you showed me the scene and you told a story about not taking about how much we need. So I want to share a story with you that I learned from my elders when I was a little child.
Fantastic. Please tell
It's
us
a
the story.
yes, thank you. It's not a fairy tale. It's a story. I mean. Bir varmış, bir de yokmuş. Once there was, once there wasn't. There was a very handsome and brave man living in the Anatolia. He saw a very beautiful girl. She was legendary. And she saw this man. She was also fell in love with him. And he also fell in love with her. But this girl was the daughter of a very wealthy man. In ancient times, we call this man as Aga, Aga in Turkey. This Aga used to love her daughter so much. We call that gözünden bile sakınır. He also couldn't look at her eyes because he used to love his daughter so much. One day, this young girl and this young man wanted to marry. As a tradition in Turkey, if you want to marry, you have to get permission from the girl's family. So this brave man went to his own mother. Mother, I am burning with my love. I am in love with a beautiful girl. She's the daughter of that Allah. Can you please go and get permission that we can marry and we can live happily ever after? Please, mother? And his mother said, of course, my dear son. You're honest, you're brave, you're hardworking. Of course, it is time to marry with the daughter that you're falling in love. I can go and I can ask him to marry. Of course, my little son, of course. And the next morning, the dear mother went to the house door. She knocked on the door. The ağa opened the door. He looked from up to down because he was so rich and his door was beyond the earth. He looked up downside and asked, what are you asking, dear or poor woman? The woman replied him, dear I heard that you have very beautiful legendary daughter. And our son, my son, and your daughter fell in love with each other. Can you please give them permission? Let them to marry. We can do whatever you want. The said, okay. I want my daughter to live happily ever after. So, send your son next morning. I have one condition. If he becomes successful on that condition, I can let them to marry with my daughter. Okay. The mom ran quickly as fast as she could to the house, and she opened the door and she told everything to her son. Son, I have good news. He said, okay, but one condition. The son asked, what is the condition? The mother said, I don't know. He will tell you the condition. The son thought, mother, think that it is completed because there is nothing that I cannot do beyond my love. It's okay. You can think that your daughter-in-law will be in this house very soon. She said, Allah'ım sana şükürler olsun. Oh, thanks God, thanks God. The next morning, In the very early hours, the son went to the A's house. He stood in front of his door and he knocked on the door. The A looked from up to down, from hair to the thumb, to our son, our boy. And he said, "Do you want to marry with my only daughter that I cannot look her? I cannot give anyone, but she loves you and you love him. I have to give permission to marry, but one condition, only one condition." He started to tell the condition, but now if you hear the condition, you can understand that the A has no intention to let them. He started to say, "Do you see the sieve that David hang on the door?" "Yes, yes, I see," said the boy. "Go and take the sieve. It came from a very, very long way. Take it. And go to the watermill that we have on our backyard, and fill in the water, and carry the water to the cauldron. Cauldron, you know, big pots. If you fill the cauldron, the pot, with the water by carrying in the sieve, you can marry with my daughter." Oh my God, David, what do you think? Can he or could he manage?
It's impossible. You cannot carry water in a sieve. It's full of holes.
Yes, it's impossible. But he never gave up. He never changed his mind. He said, "Okay, if you want me to do so, I can do it." He started to carry water with the sieve from the watermill to the pot, from the watermill to the pot. Day by day passed, months passed, years passed. He never gave up. Everybody had fun of him. Everybody tried to change his mind. Everybody said, "Come on, man, you are getting older. There are many beautiful girls. You are getting older. She's getting older. Let's please give up. You are just a crazy man." But he never gave up. And he said that if I want to live my life, I want to live for the sake of my loved one, for my passion, for my belief, for my aim. He tried to carry the water with the sieve from the watermill to the pot. He couldn't manage. He couldn't reach his very beautiful, legendary love, but he tried to do his best. He made all the dry soil blossom with flowers, with dropping waters, new trees growing on the ground, and he tried to do something very good that he can make. And now in Turkey, we are dying with the love of nature. We are dying with the fire of the forest. And we are trying to carry water with the sea. All the volunteers, all the soldiers, all the firefighters, everybody's trying to do so. So, thank you so much, all the believers carrying water with the sea for their loves.
Wow. That is such a powerful metaphor.
Thank you, David. I hope you
Never
like
give
it.
up. We have to have faith and keep doing our best, even if it seems like a dauntless, impossible task. We have to be dauntless. Wow. Wow, that's a very inspiring story. How did that story come to you, Suheda?
I don't remember, David.
You learned it
I
as a child.
Yes, when I was a child, I think maybe my dad told me. He always tells me the stories.
Wow, that's wonderful. And it's from Anatolia, you said.
Yes, Anatolia.
Wonderful. Such a
Because my
I love Turkish stories.
now I am in Afyon, in Aegean, in Central Anatolia region. So my father is always telling me the stories. So I'm recording them. When I see something, it comes out.
Fantastic. And you know, there are stories about sieves in many cultures. I've been looking for, and I'm finding stories everywhere. And often it has this impossible task. How can you fill a sieve? But wow, beautiful. What a beautiful story. Thank you so much. Thank you, Şüheda, for sharing your culture and representing Turkish culture.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back next Thursday with another Around the World in 88 Tales story share. So join us next time.
I can't buy the air I breathe. I can't buy the trees. I can't buy the deepest seas. But it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.